Hello everyone. In this video, we're talking about where WordPress and email meet. So we're going to answer the following questions in this video. Number one, how do you add a contact form to your website? Number two, how do you set up an email newsletter that visitors can join, right? So maybe you want to send out an email to like your 100 followers or your 5,000 or 10,000 followers once a week, once a month, whenever you're running a sale or if you have some big new announcement. The idea is that people who are excited about your brand or your product or whatever you're building on the internet, you might be surprised to learn this, but they actually want to give you their email address. They want to be notified when you do something new. And then the third and final question, we'll briefly talk about like how would you set up your name at yourdomain.com. So let's start with question number one. How do you add a contact form to your WordPress website? So here's an example website we set up in the previous video on my channel. And now imagine if we wanted to add like a contact us page where visitors can, type in their name and a message to you. Let me show you how I would set that up. And I want you to follow along with me. So remember in our previous video, we learned how to use this software called Local WP. So if you don't already have a live WordPress website, that's okay. I would encourage you to go visit the previous video on my channel where I show you how to use this completely free local software to spin up private sandbox experiment websites, right? But you just create one, you can use the button in the top right corner to stop and start it, and then you can use these links to visit your website or to visit the admin panel where you log in, right? Where you're the one that has permission to edit your site. But anyways, once you're logged into your practice playground, I would just create a new page. So I would go into my dashboard and just go into pages, add new page. Let's give it a title. I don't want to add a pattern. I would just give it a title of like contact us. But then here's the great question. What in the world would you add here? Because we don't want to just add a paragraph. We don't want to add an image. We want a form that users can type into with their name, their email address, and a message to us. And I'll let you in on it's not a secret. I was going to say a bit of a secret. There is no way to do that that's built into WordPress. So this is where we need to reach for a plugin. Now, in the last video, we used a plugin to move our site from our computer up to a web host, but I didn't stop to explain what in the world a plugin is. So let me go ahead and save this empty page and let's circle back in another few minutes and actually add the contact form here. So what in the world is a plugin? Well, from your dashboard, right, we have posts, we have pages, and down here we have plugins. Anytime you want to do something, anytime you want to achieve something with your WordPress website that isn't built into WordPress, we can reach for a plugin. Now, there are countless plugins. To give you an exact count, it looks like there are over 59,000 free plugins available in WordPress. So let me show you how you would add a contact form. Under plugins, we would just select add new plugin, and I would just search for contact form. Now there are two really popular plugins. You can't go wrong with either one. In the past, I've used this one, Contact Form 7, but as of late, I've had really good luck with this one, and this is the one I'm going to recommend in this video. It's called WP Forms. So you just click Install Now, and then after a few seconds, we should be able to click an Activate button. Yes, right here. Go ahead and click Activate. And now check out how easy this is. So you can go to your dashboard and then right away I'll just let you know I don't want to see this on my WordPress dashboard. So it's totally up to you, but I would recommend hiding that. You can always just click Screen Options here and then uncheck WP Forms checkbox. That way it's not cluttering up your dashboard. But to use it, we would just click on WP Forms in the sidebar here and just add a new. So we're just going to create a new form. Let's see it. So click Let's Go. We can give our form a name. I'll just call it contact form. It's wanting us to choose a template. Instead of starting from scratch with a blank form, I think it makes a lot of sense to just start with this simple contact form template. So I'll click Use Template. Here you could customize the form, but I'm actually already perfectly satisfied. It has name, email, and message. This looks good to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Save in the top right corner. But now WordPress can't read our mind. WordPress doesn't know where we would want to include this form on our website. Do we want it on our homepage? Do we want it down in the footer? Do we want it on our contact page? So I would just click this X, and then I would go edit my Contact Us page. So under Pages, click on Contact Us. And then down here, instead of adding let me zoom back in a little bit. Instead of adding a paragraph or an image, if you type / or you just use this plus symbol, I would just search for something called, if you just search for the word form, actually that doesn't bring it up. What if you search for yes. If you begin to search for WP forms, there is a block type, and if you click on that, beautiful, and then you just select, we named it contact form, but the only form that we have so far, and it's that simple. So now you just save your page, and then if you go refresh your website and you visit your contact us, that brand new page, there it is. So now visitors of your website, they can fill this out and send you an email. And now what's really nice about the local WP software, right? Like I'm not on a real public domain right now, so I'm the only person that can see this website. What's nice is it's really easy to test your email features when you're working locally. So I can say my name is Barksalot Doe, and my email is barksalot@aol.com, and my message is, this is a super quick test. If I go ahead and submit that, it says, thank you for contacting us. We will be in touch with you shortly. But now to check that that's working, you just go into local WP and click on tools. And here we see MailPit. Go ahead and click open MailPit. Cool. So it didn't actually send any emails because we're working in a private local like experiment sandbox. It just sent sort of a test email. And this is really cool to practice and make sure that everything's working the way you would expect it to. So, it sent it to this email address, and the reply to is barksalot@aol.com, but there is the form. Capture their name, their email, their message. Awesome. Now, once you actually were live with your website, like you were actually up on a web host, the email would actually be sent. It might send a copy to the real person, or, it actually this would be your actual email address. But cool, this is a nice way to practice locally. So that's how you add a simple contact form to your website. Now let's talk about how would you add an email newsletter. Like you might have 100 followers or 1,000 followers or 10,000 followers, whatever. So from our homepage, I'm going to pretend that I want to add like a sign up down in my footer, maybe right about here, that says, join our newsletter. And then you just enter your email address, and then I'll show you. And what's really cool is you can do all of this within WordPress for free. So in the past, I might have recommended something like MailChimp. MailChimp can get very expensive very quickly. So what's nice about WordPress is sometimes you'll find a gem of a plugin that does exactly what you want, and it's free. And that's the case here. So there's this great plugin called Newsletter, and let me show you how to get it up and running. So let's go back into our dashboard, and under plugins, let's click add new plugin. And if you just search for the word newsletter, and it's this first one, Newsletter by Stefano. It has over 300,000 installations. I've heard good things about MailPoet as well, but I believe you can only have 500 newsletter subscribers before you have to upgrade to a paid version. Don't quote me on that. That might not be exact, but it's something along those lines. Whereas this plugin, you can have as many subscribers as you want on the free version. So I think that's tremendous value. So I'm just going to click install now on this one, and then wait just a minute, and then click activate. Let's see. Yes, go ahead and activate it. Okay, and then we'll just click next. You would enter your real name and your real email address, but because we're on our local private sandbox, this is fine with me. Click next. I don't want to ask for their name or a privacy checkbox. I'll click next. Go ahead and click next. You can click next on a couple more of those screens, but I don't believe they're necessary. So I just clicked dashboard to get back to sort of my home base. And let me show you what we're going to do now. If you use this link to go back to your public facing website, I want to add an area down here in the footer, the global footer that will appear, on every single page of my website. I want a box where you can sign up to join my newsletter. And then after we add that, I want to show you how you could blast out a newsletter to, we can pretend that we have like 3 or 5, some amount of email addresses that we can add just as a test, but you could use your imagination that you have 1,000 people subscribe to your newsletter. How do you blast out a message to them? So this is very quick and easy. So let's go back into our dashboard, and to edit the global footer of our website, I usually click on appearance, and then you can click customize here, or if you go back to the dashboard, when you're hovering over appearance, instead of clicking on appearance itself, you can click on editor in this sub menu. Cool. So now from here, I would just scroll down to my footer and then click on the footer. That enters you into edit mode. Let's click get started. And now here's where things get a little bit complicated, but let me walk through this with you. So without this button, things are very complicated for me, but this button makes everything make sense for me. As soon as you click this button, you see sort of an overview of the different components and blocks that you're looking at. So for example, like if you click, let's click like on our navigation down here, that selects in this left-hand sidebar like where you're at. So, you know, it's like a tree, like you're nested inside the footer, inside of a group, inside of a row, inside of, you know. So let's think about this. If I want my newsletter to sit sort of between this column and this column, like right about here, let me see, like let me first click on this and I can see in the left-hand area, like, oh, that's a column. And I just start collapsing things until I can try to make sense of what I'm looking at. So here's and if you hover over them, see as I hover over this row, it selects the entire blue box. So then, okay, this column is the left area, this is the right area. So I'd probably want to add something in between these two to have it appear in the middle. So I might just right click on row and choose like add before. And now I don't want a paragraph. Here's the really cool part. So here is the new element. I don't want it to be a paragraph. I want it to be, and then if I just search for the word newsletter, there you see we want newsletter subscription form. Awesome. Let me zoom out a little bit here. I'll hide this sidebar area just so I have a little bit more screen space to work with, but this looks good. So it says subscribe to our newsletter. Let's go ahead and click save. And then down in the bottom left, it says view site. You can use that to preview your site. If we scroll down into the footer, beautiful. Now, I see some good news and some bad news. This form is already working, but why is it pushed down? You know, I would want it to sit vertically flush with this column in the far right column. So we'll fix that in just a minute or two. But let's test this out. So like, let me act like I'm an interested visitor of this website, and I'll sign up with the address of like meowsalot@aol.com. So I'll click subscribe. So only admins will see this, but a visitor would see your subscription has been confirmed. And then you can go back to MailPit. Remember, you can always get to that from local WP. You just click on Tools and then open MailPit. But you can see this welcome, and it was sent to meowsalot@aol.com. It says this message just confirms your subscription. Cool. In a new browser window, and you might need to wait like 30 seconds so it doesn't think you're like spam signing up with a bunch of emails, but let me try signing up with a second email address like barksalot@aol.com. Go ahead and click subscribe. Cool, so that went through, and then you can go back to MailPit just to make sure, yep, there's the welcome email to Barksalot. So now what I want to walk through, if I go back to your, like the actual homepage of your dashboard, I want to walk through how now you could like blast out an announcement to anyone and everyone that has signed up to your newsletter. It's really easy. You would just click on newsletter in your sidebar, and under this newsletter menu, click create new newsletter. I will let you know that if you use this welcome template, it doesn't, as of today, it doesn't include an unsubscribe link automatically in the footer. And I believe I don't know if it's universal law, I think you always want to have an unsubscribe somewhere in your email newsletter. So I've had good luck with this template called Zen. So I'm going to click on Zen, and let me zoom out just a little bit here. I mean, this is a really cool template. I mean, I think it looks nice enough. And then down in the footer, it already has like unsubscribe, manage your subscription. Now, customizing this template is easy enough. You just hover over the area you would like. You can click the X to get rid of it, or like, let's practice adding a photograph maybe. Like what if I wanted to get rid of this text? Click the X. And if I wanted to add an image over in the sidebar, I could just drag this image right there. Let's choose a file, so select file. Maybe I'll choose this image of a red panda. Go ahead and click select. Cool, there it is. Now obviously you can click on any area that you're interested in. Oh, do click apply in the sidebar, but like if I wanted to change this headline, in the block that you're interested in, you can click on this icon to begin editing it. So then I could change this from weekly Zen habits to like my amazing announcement and click apply. You get the idea. Now, before you move forward and blast this out, you do always want to include a subject. So I would say like, maybe like December newsletter 2024. Cool. You get the idea. Let's click save, and then let's click next. And now from this screen, I don't typically bother, I mean, you could, but in this quick video, I haven't bothered creating separate lists. So you could have like one list where people can sign up for like your products, and then another one where they sign up for your events, so on and so forth, and then email just a specific list. But in this case, I just want to blast out this email to anyone that's on any of my lists. So this default option is okay. You just click send now. It's going to ask, are you really sure? Click okay. And now it will wait 5 minutes, and then it's only going to be able to send, I can't remember if it's like 10 emails a minute or 20 emails a minute, but it's going to batch it out so that your server doesn't get overwhelmed, but also so your messages don't get marked as spam. So it's going to get very strategic in terms of trying to maximize the deliverability. That's really what you're paying for when you use a service like MailChimp. They have studied like how to make sure that as few of your emails get marked as spam as possible. So this is a free solution. I'm not sure if the deliverability is going to be as high as something like MailChimp, but I think this is good enough. I think the deliverability is going to be pretty respectable. So you would just wait maybe 5 minutes, and then you can always make sure if your test went through back in MailPit. So through the magic of video editing, let me wait a couple minutes. Awesome. So you can see 3 copies of that email just got blasted out. So the first one is to your admin email for the WordPress installation, but then the second one you can see got sent to meowsalot@aol.com, and this one got sent to barksalot@aol.com. Cool. And they can view it down at the bottom. They can click this to unsubscribe. I mean, you're in business, and that was completely free. Let's switch gears a bit and focus on the appearance of that sign up form down in our footer, because I don't want it to be pushed down this amount. I want it to sit flush with the top of this column and this column. So I think this should be a fun exercise. How would we pull this up and fix this spacing issue? So I would just go into, let's see, my dashboard, and I would click on the editor option under the appearance submenu and scroll down to the footer and just click on it to open up the editor. And now if I click on this area, so it's selected with the blue rectangle, down in the bottom right, you can see padding is set to 20. However, even if we drop that padding all the way down to 0 and click save, and then go look at my front end, that did pull it up a little bit, but not all of the way. There's still this spacing here. So how would you get rid of that? This is when you need to learn about code. I don't think there's any other way of doing this without code, unfortunately. That's just the reality. So let me show you what I would do, because if you go in here and you select this element, there's nowhere within the non-coding experience to remove that extra bit of spacing. However, if someone can guide you and help you dip your toes into the world of coding, this isn't that hard to fix. So here's what I would do. In Google Chrome or Firefox, if you right-click on the element that you're trying, that you're interested in adjusting, it's like if I right-click on this text and choose Inspect, it's going to show me the code. Now, don't worry, I'm going to walk through this with you bit by bit. But you can see that selected, it says subscribe to our newsletter, and it's wrapped in an opening P tag and a closing P tag. P just stands for paragraph, so that little bit of text is a paragraph. But with it hovered, you can see if I scroll down a little bit, with it hovered, you see the little bit of orange above and below it. That orange space is called margin, and so I'm just wanting to remove that top margin. Now, the way that I personally would fix this is down here, if you look at the code, I'm looking for some sort of unique identifying, like a way to identify this specific element in the code, and I'm seeing that it's sitting inside of a div, which just stands for division. It's a way to organize your content, but that it has a class of WP block TNP minimal. Now, you don't need to know what a class is, but just hear me out here. I want you to select that name. So if you double click on that name, just select it and copy it into your clipboard. So WP-block TNP minimal. Just copy that. So Control C or Command C, and let me show you what we're going to do with that. Back in your admin dashboard, we're going to click on styles, but I want to show you how you can always get to styles quickly. So from your overall dashboard, under appearance, if you click on editor, that's always going to be available in this left-hand menu. So just click on styles, but now I don't want to click on any of these options. I don't want to give my site an overall green or purple experience. What I want to do is choose this icon, this pencil, to edit styles. And now, even now, I don't want to really change anything here. I'm just looking for a place where I can add in a little bit of my own custom code. So I'm going to click these 3 dots and choose additional CSS. Now, this area, this is what we're looking for. I want you to type in a dot, like a period, and then paste in your your clipboard. So it's .wp-block-tnp-minimal, and then add a space and a lowercase p. So we're just saying any paragraphs that live inside of that area. And now after that, we're going to have an opening curly bracket and then a closing curly bracket. You get the curly brackets by holding down the shift key, and it's the keys to the right of your P key on your keyboard. But in between the opening and closing curly brackets, you can drop down again. And now in the middle here, all we have to say is margin dash top, put it to 0, semicolon. So that's margin dash top colon 0 and then a semicolon. Go ahead and click save and then click save again to actually confirm it. And now watch this. As soon as I refresh, boom, it pulled it up. It's now sitting perfectly flush. Awesome. So we now have a contact form. We have a newsletter that we can blast out. Things are looking good. Let's go on to the third and final question in this video, which is how would you set up like your name at yourdomain.com? The truth is that's going to be different depending on which hosting company you're using. And there are thousands, maybe tens or hundreds of thousands of hosting companies out there. I use DreamHost and I have for the last 19 years in my real personal life. So really quick, I want to show you the exact plan I use. So under hosting, if you go under shared website hosting, there are two main plans to choose from. I don't recommend Shared Starter because you can only have one website. This plan, Shared Unlimited, this is the plan I have had for 19 years. It lets you have unlimited websites. It comes bundled with one free domain and, let's see, I believe, yes, unlimited email addresses at yourdomain.com. And just to be transparent, if you use my link to DreamHost down in the description of this video and sign up, I will receive compensation for sending new users their way. But I want to show you, if I jump into my DreamHost dashboard, how easy it would be to set up your own email addresses. So when you sign up, it comes bundled with one free domain. So then in the sidebar, it's about the fifth icon down, but this icon is the mail icon. Just click on Manage Email. Now, if you only have one domain, you're only going to see that one domain down here. I can scroll through this. You can see I have many different domains. I've been using DreamHost. I mean, it just keeps scrolling and scrolling. I've been using this for myself, side hustles, side projects, friends, family for a long time. But basically, you would just click Create Email in the top right here. So select the domain you're trying to create the email address for. So that's my main domain at learnwebcode.com, and then just choose an email address. So you could create like, you know, what's a fun name? Hops a lot, like a rabbit. So hops a lot at learnwebcode.com, and then just scroll down, click fully hosted email. So just click continue. Either option is fine. You would just enter a mailbox name and a password, and that's it. Off camera, I had to wait maybe 10 or 15 seconds, and it created the email address for me. So then you can just visit webmail.dreamhost.com, or obviously you could connect this to your platform native email app. So let me log in real quick. Hops a lot at my learnwebcode.com. Cool, I'm logged in. My inbox is empty, but I can receive email, I can send email, and it's my own name at my own domain. So at this point, we have answered the 3 questions in this video. How do you add a contact form? How do you add a newsletter? And how do you have your own email address? At the very end here, I do want to talk, before we jump into what's next in this series, I'll give you a hint. Our next video is going to be about setting up a blog. Before we close out this video, I first want to talk about, again, just to remind you, like, what if you were happy with what you were building in your local sandbox, like local WP? So this is your private personal sandbox that no one else can see. You're the only person in the world that can see this website, right, that ends in .local. If you're curious how you would push this up to a live web host like DreamHost or any other hosting company, view the first video in this playlist. So it's just the previous video on my YouTube channel. We learn how to use a plugin called All-in-One Migration, and it makes it really easy. So that way you don't have to recreate 20 or 30 pages or re-download all these different plugins and settings and configurations and code. No, there's a plugin that will help you migrate it or move it or copy it in one fell swoop. It's an absolute must-have tool in every WordPress toolbox. But that is going to bring this video to a close. In our next video, we're going to learn how to set up a blog or, add a blog area to our website. Now, if you're enjoying this series, you're enjoying this YouTube channel, there are several different ways that you can help support it. If you visit my website, I'll include a link to this in the description, but it's learnwebcode.com. The number one way to support this would be to join my new Patreon. So it comes with a few different perks. You get your name added to the closing credits of my videos, the source code zip files for when we start programming and coding together. And then there will also be polls where you can sort of vote to decide on like which features should we learn next. There will also be similar membership tiers on the YouTube channel. I also have many different courses online. I have 9 different courses as of today. You can join those on Udemy. You can join those on Teachable. If you're looking for reliable, affordable hosting, if you use my link to DreamHost, that will also support this channel. If you want to join my newsletter, you can. If you want to follow me on different social media, you can. But that's about it. Thank you for watching until the very end of this video. I hope you feel like you learned something, and I am just so excited to continue on this journey with you. We're going to build out a blog. We're going to get our hands dirty into code. There's so much to cover. It's going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. This video was made possible by my supporters on Patreon and YouTube memberships. I just launched my Patreon 2 or 3 days ago. I don't have any producers yet, but your name could go here. But I want to give a huge shout out to Rodney for being the very first sponsor. Thank you, Rodney, for making this video and series possible. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.